Okie doke. So, good afternoon or good morning. Welcome to our 213th Reading Online Sports Economics Seminar. We have Galila Nasser from Bielefeld University presenting Beyond Talent, Managerial Stability, Club Ownership and Team Success in the Egyptian Football League. Before she gets going, just a few things to say. Obviously, we are sponsored by the Sports Economics Review, appearing in a journal rankings list near you soon, maybe even already, and a good home for your sports manuscript. Two conference announcements to make. One of them comes from Dennis. Dennis is organizing the third edition of the UMBC Sports Economics Conference and is planning it currently. It will be in June, either the 5th to the 7th or the 9th to the 11th, with the latter being closest to the first World Cup matches that could happen in New York, Philadelphia or Boston. If you are thinking about the conference, and it's been a great success in its first two iterations, I would love to be able to get out there, but Reading has a carbon budget, which might not allow me to. But you never know. It looks like a great conference, and if you're interested, please do contact Dennis Coates. He's on the call, and you can surely find his email via his website, or let me know if you want to pass a message to Dennis regarding his conference. Also, a small update you may have seen in the reminder notice that the Football Analytics Conference at Oldham Athletic on December the 9th and 10th is now when it will take place due to the match, the League Two football match that was due to be on the 9th, hence we moved it to the 10th. The match is now moved to the 10th, so we have to spread the conference out over 2 days. To make sure that we don't impinge on the match itself. The match is a League Two game in Oldham and Walsall, which you can take in as part of the conference fee, should you wish. But that's December the 9th and 10th Football Analytics Conference, which has a range of speakers from within English football in the analytics world, as well as on an interesting perspective from the governance of the game. We have Rick Parry, the Chief Executive of the Football League, as well as a couple of representatives of Football League clubs, including Peter Ridsdale from Preston North End, formerly Leeds United's chairman, back when they were hitting the heights of European football in the early 2000s. I don't want to hold up Galila any longer. Galila, please do take away your talk.
Thank you very much, and thanks as always for organizing everything and for inviting me today. You can all see my screen already, right?
Yeah, yes. We've got it.
So today I'm gonna talk about my current working paper on Beyond Talent, Managerial Stability, Club Ownership and Team Success in the Egyptian Football League. It has been a long way with this project. And I'm really hoping this year I will be able to finalize it. So I'm looking forward for all the suggestions. It's not the final version, but hopefully I will have the final version soon. First of all, I know usually most people are more familiar with the European football. I would like to give some hints about Egyptian football. So Egypt, of course, is one of the most successful nations in the African Cup of Nations. We won 7 times titles. And Al Ahly Club is the most successful club in the African Champions League with 12 titles. And when it comes to the international level, of course, we are always proud of having both Mohamed Salah, which not his best season this year, but hopefully he will come back soon. And previously, Neni, who was player in Arsenal, and Omar Marmoush, who's currently in Manchester City. And hopefully he will get back to be a main player also soon. So it's not the best season for them so far. When people hear about Egypt or someone a little familiar with World Club of teams or follow the African team leagues, they always hear Al Ahly and Zamalek. But interestingly, the most popular players, the recent players, all come from private clubs like المقاولون العرب, where both Muhammad Salah and the Neni were in their youth teams, and Wadi Degla is also a private-owned club from our Omar Marmoush played in all his young ages. So I think it was very important that we have to go in and see what's going on there in terms of both the managerial side and also on the ownership of the clubs. So starting from the managerial side, over the years, over the media, I just managed to get 2 screenshots in English. If you search in Arabic, you will always find a lot of articles talking about the conflicts and things happening within the teams, between the players and the managers, on a club level and also on the national team level. So there have been a lot of conflicts between players and managers, and this led actually to high turnover rate for the managers in the Egyptian league. So since we have high turnover rate of managers between the seasons and also in season, so for example, we have several clubs that hired over 15 managers in less than 10 seasons. The first part of this presentation and of the paper will focus on if the manager contribute to the team success, and we apply it, of course, on the Egyptian league. So when it comes to the theory and related literature, and that's, of course, only just a short summary, so I will have time to discuss more about the data and the league. The importance of the contribution of managers originate from the corporate behavior theory. We can start from the Bertnett Scholar 2003 and Graham 2012, where they measure the managers' impact on their organization's performance, and they prove that managers' influence are heterogeneous. So manager decision will differ, and how they affect and impact the teams is gonna differ. And when it comes to the professional sports, we have a lot of studies that use different methodology to measure the impacts of manager quality on the success of their teams. So if we look from 1997, we found a paper by Fels that found that coaches' turnover rates in the season negatively impact the performance when it was applied on the basketball teams. And even if the new coaches were more efficient due to the disruption. The more recent paper found that higher salary for the coaches found high significant impact on the team performance. A paper with Bester 2016 were able to analyze the managers' influence on the performance of their teams applied on the Egyptian Premier League. And they found that due to the high turnover rate in season, they found productive and counterproductive result on the teams. And then we have Milhäuser in 2018, where it applied, again, the major contribution on the team success, and they depend on their paper on the rate of the turnover, and they found that managers have an impact on their team performance. There was a paper by Puzzaci in 2021, where they found a significant managerial influence on their team success regarding the results and the team market value. And since the Egyptian Premier League also has a high turnover rate of the manager, that's why I will focus in the first part of the presentation on applying similar methodology from these two literature. So when we have to talk a little bit more about the league. So the Egyptian league so far have 70 different teams competed since 1948. And only 2 of the 70 teams have been competing in the first league for all the season, which are the most popular, of course, Al Ahly and Zamalek. The dominant club is Al Ahly, and it has won so far 45 times the league. And unfortunately, I am a Zamalek fan, and Zamalek has only won 14 times so far, besides only 5 teams who managed to win the league. These are called Ghazl al-Mahalla, Ismaili team. Al-Maqawlin al-Arab is the one where Muhammad Salah started and played football in. We have Olympic Club and the Tersana Club. So the league runs normally. Each team played twice, home and away, and 3 points when you win, and 1 point when you have a draw match. My data are for 29 season from 1996, and we stop. Sorry, I have already updated till 2025, so this is I forgot to edit this slide. And the data I have web scraped from Transfer Market, and it was really a lot of work because there was a lot of missing data and missing managers info, especially in the early seasons. So I did a lot of work and listened to old matches on YouTube and check the newspaper info to able to get the most number of observation I can. And over these 29 seasons, we have 55 teams competed, and they assigned 261 managers. And these 261 are from 33 different countries. So around 30% of the managers comes from non-Egyptian countries. Before we jump to more data, I have to talk a lot about the structure. So actually, there is a lot of changes in the league over the years. So as we can see, it started with 16 teams competing, and then it was it was declined to 14 teams, and then in 2026, they got back to 16 teams. And since the start of 2011, there was a lot of changes also politically. So during the 25th revolution, some matches were postponed, but they were able to finish the league. The next year, in season 2011 and 2012, actually the league was suspended because there was a sad incident and people were died or killed in the stadium. And then this leads that they did not have any relegation this season. So we have 18 seasons. And then we have our second revolution in 2013, and the league was again suspended. So this has ended up that we have people coming from the second league, but no one relegated. So in the season 2013 and 14, we have 22 teams competing. So they decided to divide it into two groups to be able to finish the league on one season. And then the next year we started to decline again. It's important also to say that in 2017 we have a change in the Egyptian law, and they allowed the foreign investment. And after that we have a Saudi Arabian investor and also an Emirates investor, where they buy private clubs and try to make them compete with Al Ahly and the Malik. If one is following the CAF, they will hear about the Pyramids Club, and that's actually was owned by a private investor. And then we have, of course, in 2019, the matches were affected and stopped again because of the COVID. So over the years, we always have suspense. Sometimes a change in the managerial, a new election, and they decided to do changes in the league. And sometimes because of the political situations, matches have to stop. And this was important to mention because, of course, I have to take this in consideration in my analysis. First of all, before we jump to the methodology, we have to do some data cleaning. The first thing, it was very important to define what's called spell. So spell is a relationship between the manager and the team. So it is the total number of matches this team stay with the same manager without interruption. And the average spell in my data set is 16.5 matches, which makes people imagine how we have high turnover rate in the league. And at the same time, we have manager who last for 242 matches, like total of 9 seasons. 51 of the managers stayed for only 1 match, and this is most probably our managers just hired or the assistant manager for 1 match until they get the contract with the new coaches. So of course, this all were considered for any coaches who stay for a very limited time to be dropped from the data. So 2 conditions be applied to make sure that the relationship between the manager and the team. The first one is the footprint condition, and this requires that each spell has to last for at least half season matches. So if the season includes 14 teams, the minimum number, of course, will be 13 matches in this season. and I have to edit that depending on the number of teams I have in every season. And this was all considered. So after applying the footprint conditions, we have like 98 coaches were dropped from the data set. And then we have the mover team condition, and this to make sure that each team has to be with at least one mover managers. So a manager is considered to be a mover when they are observed with more than one team. So any team that don't have any mover managers are dropped from our data sets. Usually they are teams who got from the second league only for one season in the Premier League, and they got relegated again, and they kept their own previous coach. So these teams were also dropped from the data set. And this is just to show what I was trying, like we try to make sure that we have club manager connected. So club hire more than one manager. If the club or the manager were never hired, a club didn't have any mover managers, they are dropped from our data sets. And these are 4 clubs, just appeared one season and they were dropped. And they didn't hire a popular or a mover manager. So this leads to our final data set. After applying both conditions, we have 47 teams, hired 128 managers, 43 of them are movers and 85 are non-movers. The total number of observations are 763 with 415 spells. The methodology we are going to use, our dependent variable is the average number of points per manager, per team, per half season. And of course, we have team fixed effect, manager fixed effect, and half season fixed effect. So this is our first results, and so far that looks good, similar to the literature. When we start to include the manager fixed effect and the team fixed effect, and then the manager fixed effect, we can see the adjusted square has increased good and significantly. And then so that was very good, and that's again similar, replicating what has been going on in the literature. All the papers usually try to control for the budget, which is unfortunately is not available. So what I managed to get was the market value, but it's only available starting the season 2006 and 7. So the number of observation are a little bit less than before. So and based on that, the result confirm again that when I control for the market value of the team, we still have a good adjusted R square when we consider the team market value, which is still good and still fit with the literature. And then what we try to do next is I try to focus on the individual manager fixed effect, which are for the mover managers. So first I rank the manager based on their coefficients, and then we put the median manager as a reference category in our model, and we control for both the team fixed effect and the half season fixed effect. So as we can see, I'm sorry, I try to fit it as much as I was able. The top managers were highly significant, and also we have negatively significance in the lower managers. So this means that if someone hire one of the top manager, for example, Patrice Cartron, you would win on average more 0.76 points than a team that manage with one of the median managers here. And this could help you that to earn extra 12.19 points per half season. So this actually looks good and significant and similar to what was going on in the literature. But in contrast to the literature, usually when you try to compare the average number of points to the coefficient, there is a huge difference. And that's why they say you can't just get, you have to run the regression analysis and you find. Here we will only find a very, very slightly changes, like a coach was number 5 here, is 6 there. We don't have the similar differences like most of the literature. And that's what make me want to think I need to dig more and check what's going on. in the league and what could be different compared to the most of the literature on the European League. So this took me to talk about the ownership, since there is a lot of articles, most of them written in Arabic, a couple also in English, to try to discuss how the league has been changing over the year because of the changes of the types of the teams are in the league. So we can consider that our league have 3 different types of teams. The first one is a public team, but it's actually, in reality, it's a quasi-public. It's structured under the Ministry of Sports, but the members of this club is still free to elect their own board of directors. And most, like 90% of these public clubs have fan-based club, either Ahli and Zamalek or Ismaili, Bursaid. They are regional in specific city and they have their own fans. So these clubs are considered to be public. They are still under the government, but they are free to elect their own board of directors. The second types are, we can call it institutional or governmental clubs. So these are state-owned enterprises or corporate, and that's actually very interesting. So we have a lot of clubs, like a club called National Bank of Egypt that represents the National Bank of Egypt. We have a club called Petrojet that represents a public company called Petrojet. We have a lot of construction clubs, cement club, and we have also 2 military club. We have Club of Defense that represents the Ministry of Defense. We have a police club. So all this club, we can consider them, they are under the government affiliated entities, and they are institutional club. The third type is the private ownership club. So you have your own money, you decide to build the club, and anyone who lived in this compound or in this area will pay a membership. Or if you buy from the compound or this real estate, you get you get a membership also in the sport club within this area. So this was available, and also it was like more private club since the season of 2017, since it changes the sports flow. So there is 2 types I would like to focus in. First of all, we can divide the clubs into fan-based clubs and ghost club. As you can see, the ghost club are clubs with no fans, and these are the private clubs and the institutional clubs, with only 2 exceptions from the institutional club, that it was a company in a small city, and the city began a fan to this club. If we look to the graph, we can see that over the year, clubs with no fans almost, the number of them participating has been increased. And if we try to compare based on the ownership of the club, we can see that previously there were only a small number of private clubs, and starting early 2000s, the number of institutional governmental clubs have been increasing, and the public club has been decreasing. There is a funny story that this season they decided there is no relegation because 2 of the most popular public clubs with a lot of fans that doesn't have enough funds, they should have been relegated. And since everyone has been complaining about the institutional and private clubs, the federation decided no relegation in order to just to keep a minimum number of public clubs in the league. So based on this, I ran the regression for institutional clubs and the main independent variable, which is the ownership. And I put the reference category is private, and we can see that the public club is positively significant compared to the private. But once we control for the market value, this significance disappeared. So this is the first regression. I decided to do 2 further regression, and I would say it was a bit interesting. So the first one, as some of you, as I have said, and also as the paper James have wrote before on the no fans since 2011 and what happens politically in the stadium, and there was a lot of chaos and people died. They decided there is no fans at all, or a very, very limited number of fans. So I control and I try to include a dummy variable, but it was not significant. And then based on that, I got idea and a suggestion from my previous presentation that I try to divide it, my data set between before 2011 and after 2011. So interestingly, before 2011, we can find that the public club and the institutional club were both significant compared to the private club. When we put the market value, the significance was still there, but it disappeared once I controlled for the manager fixed effect. And if I look to after 2011, we'll see the increase a number of private club, and also the rule to open for foreign investment in the clubs in Egypt. The institutional significance here changed to negative. It's still public club highly significant, although it's less significant than before. The coefficient is less value than before 2011. Once I control for the market value, the significance here disappeared. And once I include the fixed effect, the manager fixed effect, the significance from both the public and private club also disappeared. I can say there is a lot of things different in the Egyptian league, which is not also easy to interpret. But overall, I can summarize it in 2 points. The first of all, that manager contribute to the team performance, and this contribution is heterogeneous based on which manager you hire. And the impact of different types of ownership of the clubs on the team performance disappear once we account for the managers and for the team strengths. And I would say, I think the normal way of studying the leagues cannot be applied everywhere, and that's what I'm trying to see what's going on. So I'm really looking forward for suggestions, ideas, what else can be done to be able to interpret the Egyptian league. Yeah, so that's all. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, Galila. I'll give you a team's round of applause. That was a really interesting presentation. Obviously, you mentioned I have written a paper on Egyptian football in the past, so I think it's a fascinating topic for discussion, with obviously a lot of very unique characteristics. We've got lots of time for questions and comments, so if anyone has any questions and comments they would like to make, please do feel free to raise your hand. Georgie, I think, is first. Yes, then Dennis.
You are muted, I think. Also, it looks you are not muted, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, can't hear you, Georgie. Okay, we'll go to Dennis while George hopefully sorts out his connection.
Thanks, Galila. That was interesting. I have a couple of questions. I maybe missed the explanation about the different types of clubs. I heard what you said they were. What I didn't catch, now go back to that slide with the 3 colors, one for each. Yeah. So my question was about this was, do the public clubs change to being private or institutional, or do they completely disappear? And does that matter for what you do later on? It's clear, I think, that the institutional clubs basically come into being and expand, at least for a time. And same with the private clubs, but where do they come from? And relatedly, it wasn't clear to me, do they all compete against each other? Or are there, I don't know, different leagues or something where they're not necessarily competing against each other? And then the last thing, and then I'll shut up and listen to your answer, is are you certain that each type of club has the same motivation, thinking about are they win maximizers or are they profit maximizers? So look
Yeah.
forward to your answer.
Thank you very much. Actually, no public club changed, so the public clubs are stayed at the same. They are public club, but they couldn't have the enough money and resources to compete, so they were relegated to the second and third league. And at the same time, you have the companies, more institutional club with a stable fund that they have a budget and they share it on sport. They were able to, based on the financial situation that is more stable, they were able to get to win the time, and they got more places now in the first leagues. So there isn't a lot of changes in the types of the club, but more majority of the public club away from Ahli and Zamalek, from the regional and other cities, they don't have the enough fund to stay in the league. And that's why a lot of people are complaining that it's not about fans anymore. And you have just like we have Coca-Cola Club. It stayed for 10 years as Coca-Cola, and then another private company called for business sport called Future or Modern Future. She bought the club, and now it's competing. And there is some articles for Egyptians. They are trying to interpret like what could be the reason, and some people could say it's like good marketing for your company. You can say it this way because you are always in the league. People talk about the name. You are mentioned everywhere, and you don't have to pay thousands of money for a TV advertisement. Yeah, so it's I think that's for your so the league is normal. You have like in order to be a team in the Premier League, you have of course to start and win like the third league and second league, and then every year two teams are promoted from the second league to the Premier League, but not every year teams are relegated from the first league, from the Premier League to the second league, and that's why yeah, I think that is for your first question. Can you repeat again the second question, please? I think I did not write it.
I asked if they all have the same motivation. I don't know if that was my second question or my third question. Are they all profit maximizers? Are they all win maximizers? Or is there some mixture of the two? And might that matter?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I really don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Like I would say the Pyramids Club that's owned by Emirates investor and was previously owned by a Saudi Arabia investor. That's I would say is for sure trying to win and don't have the same profit for winning. They just try to win, and they won the CAF, the African Leagues competition. For the other clubs, we don't have access to the budget. You can never know how much they earn in terms of broadcasting. But again, they don't have the same. They still have sponsors, but not the same as the Al Ahly and Zamalek, for example. But it's totally private, institutional, so no one really know anything more about their budget. So I wish I have a clear answer for that, but yeah, unfortunately not. But that's why some people say some matches lose interest, because even if they allow fans to go, you would not like to watch a match for the club of policemen versus Eastern Company for tobacco, for example. We have a very interesting match. They call it the evil versus versus the good, because it was we have an Eastern Company for tobacco versus a pharmaceutical company. They are two both popular. So people, when they discuss it, they were like, "Oh, an evil versus a good match." So again, for both private and institutional, no one have access to any deep information in terms of the budgets. We only have the market value.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And when you say there's no fans, do you mean there's just like a couple of hundred or something, or literally there are no fans watch these games?
I mean some people really love the Egyptian league. They watch any match on TV, but you will not buy a ticket to go to the stadium at all.
Right.
So because
So the
this is
stadium
like,
is literally empty.
yes, usually empty, or
Right.
some of the employees got tickets, they go to the match.
Right.
Like for example, like the pharmaceutical company or club, that's you are members there if you are working in this company. So you don't have any loyalty feeling or something, and they just come up a couple of years ago. So and it's not based in the city. As I said, there were only 2 teams out of the institutional teams that actually have a fan base, because this was a factory in a very small city far away from Cairo, and people start to love to watch them, and they have their own local players from this city playing, so they were really supported at the beginning, but unfortunately they are not competing also anymore. But this was the exception for public clubs, that they have a fan base, because it's about this city. They don't have a lot of other clubs, and they have something competing, so everyone loves to go, and you will have thousands of fans buy tickets and go support them. But all the other clubs, actually no fan go. And we had a funny TikToker. He tried to book a ticket and go like for one of these clubs, and everyone was shocked from the organizing that, wow, we have a fan who decided to come and buy a ticket to watch our match. So yeah, there is no fan based or anything.
Cool, thank you. Georgie, are you able to speak now?
Okay, let's try again.
Yes, you can.
Do you hear me now? Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't know what happened. So great talk. Thank you very much for your insight. So just based on this graph, since you're on it, my first question is going to be, where do you see the dynamics of football in Egypt progressing? Like, is it going to be more private? Are the institutional clubs going to die out eventually, given their lack of popularity, or like what's sort of the practical implication of your research?
Thank you very much. I think I believe the institutional are not dying soon. They are staying. They are the most stable clubs with we have a very bad economic situation these days. So they are still there in the league, but I would say this is affecting the overall competition and talent in the league. I would say when it comes to the international level, we, as the best team in Africa, the best team with African titles, we still haven't achieved anything more on the international level, like compared to Morocco, for example, compared to Senegal, other African. I would say because our league is not as strong as before. I think it's highly affecting the competition. And sometimes you feel local player when they start to play on a continent level or international level, they are not used anymore to play with this stress, with fans, with people watching and commenting on them. So I would say it's affecting the talents in the sport, but I wouldn't expect them to go out soon because of the financial situation.
Yeah, and really briefly, just one comment. So I think you mentioned this Coca-Cola club, right? I think it would be really interesting in some future research to focus on the transitions of clubs from one type of ownership to another. And as a natural experiment, I could draw an example from, my birth country of Russia. So when the Soviet Union collapsed, all the clubs, of course, were institutionally owned. Like there was the army club, there was the police club, et cetera, et cetera. And they all retained their original fan bases. And well, I mean, it's slightly different, but they all retained their original fan bases, but they all became, ultimately privately owned. And while, certain clubs, I mean, the other way of classifying, I think you do a great explanation classifying, but it would be interesting to know, like, for instance, some clubs may be publicly owned on paper, but they're indeed owned by some, wealthy person who is like a CEO of a certain company that gets governmental contracts. So that would also be interesting to decipher. But just like sort of like a staggered formation of shifts from one level of ownership to another would be interesting to see. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think yes, I think I could I need to dig more on this in this point, especially in the private clubs. There is a lot of changes going on there. I'd say in the public club, not a lot because it's all based on the membership. Like Al Ahly and Zamalek have thousands of members. You have to pay. The only difference that when it comes to the public club, you have two types. You have clubs that really you need thousands of money to get member in this. And if you are membered, you go, you vote, and you control everything within the club as a membership. We can argue how the percentage of participation of these people to the elections. Example, Al Ahly had election this year, but actually no one like it was won without a real election because only one person was nominated for the president. No one really want to go compete. But again, he was a previous legend in the football and everyone loved him. So it's not because people or others who are interested or governmental or something. So, but all the public clubs are based on the memberships and they vote. Some of them have, I would say, a little bit symbolic membership. You don't buy a lot, but this is for in the small cities where originally in the late 90s and 70s, the country created these clubs to have sports in the away from Cairo and also in these cities. And they still have the membership, but it's not like too much money. Anyone can really pay it and be a member in the club. And again, all of them should have vote. But as you said, or as like a little bit similar, they all follow under the Ministry of Sports. So if there's a new rule or a new regulation, it will be applied in all of them. And currently in Egypt, they are actually discussing a new rule if they can change the public club and make it, as you said, if there may be a change where it will be allowed to buy these clubs, but it's still in discussion and no one really sure how it will be. But again, since the change of 2017 where they allow for foreign investment, I think in the long run there will be changes a lot. I would say it's important to study what's going on now because I'm quite sure there will be more changes in the future. I hope I clarified your point. Sorry if I talk too much and go to minor points. Yeah.
No, that was great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. Thanks, Georgie. Thanks, Galila. Thomas has his hand up next.
Yeah, am I understandable?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, Galila. Thanks for bringing this paper. I'm a bit intrigued still by the rankings of the coaches. So it's a bit before preceding this one. So maybe we can go back a little bit. Where you said that in many other papers you see quite a bit of difference in the ranking of the average points with respect to the coach. So that makes me wonder a bit, what is underlying this finding. And so can you maybe explain it's in your model, is there a lot of variance that's being explained by for example, the other factors that you put in, like the transfer market value and the firm fixed effects, or is it are they pretty much unimportant? And is the coach super important in your model? Because it sort of seems that the coach links very well to the number of points obtained. So that also might mean that it's only the coach that matters in your model. So that's a little bit my question. Do you have any evidence on that?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I agree. It seems the manager impact is always the higher. And
So you, yeah, go. No,
yeah,
go.
it what the only thing I'm planning to do, but I didn't have time to finish it before there, is to actually dig in the concept of the foreign coaches. And try to see to consider the impact of the foreign coaches, especially that in the top like 5 we have 3 like the top of them are like 2 out of 4 now are foreign coaches. And also because only out of like around 50 teams, only 19 of them that pay money for foreign coaches. So I think this could also reflect from market value. They have more money and they are more stable teams. And currently the top 3 teams, all of them actually hired foreign coaches too. And they have the better financial situation. Yeah, I think I need to dig more on this. And also like my idea was to control for the nationality of the coaches and also check some descriptive about how the turnover is different between national versus international coaches, because this could also be a good interpretation. But these two, I didn't jump to them yet. They are my next steps.
Can you show again maybe a few slides before you have sort of the model that sort of builds from you add first, yeah, I think here we are.
Yeah.
So in the first model here, there is a half season fixed, but there's not a TM value in there, right?
Yeah. The market value, have you said the market? No, it's not.
Yeah.
This one, no market value yet. When we include the team fixed effect, the model is changed, of course, a lot, and we include the manager fixed effect, we still have more increase.
There is no the TM value only enters the model later in this one.
I couldn't have the market value and the team fixed effects. They highly correlate together. So I could actually either control for the team fixed effect or the market value, which I think could explain that the best teams have the best financial situation. I think that's a very good point. I need to include it in my discussion.
No. So I think one suggestion I would make, I don't know if you're using Stata to do this or another program.
I use R Studio.
Okay, well, I think R also has it. There is a way in which you can sort of calculate the partial R squared for each of your fixed effects categories. So in the last model, in model 3, you could say, okay, I'm explaining total 0.67, and let's say 0.21 comes from the managers, 0.3 something comes from the half seasons, and point X comes from the market value. That might also give you a way to say there's something going on here, because in most of the other papers, of course, we find that whether it's wage bill or market value, that explains quite a bit of the variance. And so, what if in your case that's not true? That also opens the door for, I think, what is some, as you described, right? These different types of clubs which you don't have everywhere. And is it true, as Dennis was saying, that they're pursuing the same things, et cetera, et cetera? So I know the Velsdv Reckon Stata has this as an option, but I don't know what you're using in R. But I'm sure if you look into it, it's not very hard to do. So it might be a nice addition to sort of make your point of the manager fixed effects are hyper important in your model, right?
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, thank you. That's very helpful. I mean, I could also do it, analytics data. If I couldn't do it in R, I could do it data.
No, because yeah, I think, I mean, the companion paper of the Felsdiever in the Stata journal, it
Yeah.
explains it very well. So you can
Yeah.
easily probably program it in R if you read that.
Yeah. I would say, like, when it comes to Al-Ahli and Zamalek, of course, the main incentives is they have to win. There's a lot of pressure on them, and now, sadly, because a lot of the regional clubs are not competing like before, so almost the Egyptian are divided between Al-Ahli and Zamalek, since these are the teams who are competing with popularity. But the question will always be to the other types of clubs, what is the motivation for them in the league? This is so hard to know. Yeah.
Can I have another question, James, or am I?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I understand the reason for, and I think it's also very wise to sort of look for these coaches that have some impacts in the team and have enough games per spell, I think is what you call it, right? Is there also a reasoning, because now you're here going to the half season level with your estimation model, right? And controlling, sort of calculating average points per half season. That I understood that right.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for not going to the underlying game level, or is that just that makes the model a bit more complicated because you have opponents, etc. But what is the reasoning for doing that?
Actually, yeah, it's a very good point. My start was really I want to focus on the manager impact on team performance, and I found high turnover rate. So I said, let's replicate what's going on and see how things works. And when it didn't work, like it looks different than most of the literature, and I cannot just say managers. There is something different in the league. I decided to check what else I could consider and read more and see the different ownership types. But I think it's a valid point. It would make sense if I run the ownership regression on a game level and have a look. I did it on a half season level just to drop all, because my main focus at the beginning was only on the manager, and I want to drop all outliers and just see the turnover between and within the season. So that was my first motivation. But my motivation, it changes over time. So I started to include more and more stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
But thank you very much. I think I will, I will give it a run also for the game level. Very helpful tips. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Yeah.
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for that. Stefan has got his hand up. Stefan? Can anyone else hear Stefan? Because my connection can be quite bad here. I can see.
I
can see
can't
you
hear
guys
him.
moving. Can't hear him or see him. Or was something in the chat? He's going to type the questions. He's got microphone problems. Out of interest, not really for my question, but while Stefan asks his, Galila, obviously you've looked at this first part of your talk was on the manager performance. Did you interact that at all with a different type of club? Are there different characteristics in terms of how long, say, a club with no fans keeps the manager relative to, say, one of the clubs with lots of fans? Is there anything that you can say there in terms of that interaction of the club type with the managerial success and tenure?
Yeah, actually, I haven't did that, but it's a very good point, and I think I should also try consider it get in consideration. Thank you very much. And also maybe do it before and after 2011, or I will try both for the whole data set and then before and after, because by the end it's 29 seasons, so a lot of things really happened in football and in Egypt in this 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Stefan's question in the chat is, the Egyptian revolution is right in the middle of the data. Given the political dimensions of club control, can you test for any impacts attributable to the revolution?
Yeah, I think that was the idea that I divided by the end the results before and after 2011. But I think it would make more sense, as Thomas has said, that to make it on a game level, not on a half season. I will try to consider that. And I would say for when I divided them, there is a little bit different, but by the end, the significance overall disappeared once we have the manager fixed effect included and the market value included. I need to see who have the higher impact. I agree also with Thomas about this point. And also, is this answers the question, given the political dimension?
Well, I think so, because he's asking basically about the outside
think,
of the revolution.
Yeah, I think there's 2 points, because even season 2011, the league was not stopped. It was just postponed. But actually, in 2012 and 13, we have 2 events where people were died in the stadium. A lot of chaos happened, unfortunately. And it was a very sad days, and since that, the fans were stopped from the attendance.
Sorry, did my sound come back now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry, Galila. Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. But I was thinking more that whether you could think about specific changes at the individual clubs, because presumably within each club there were changes in political influence because of the revolution. It's more complicated than just saying whether they were institutional or public. That presumably some politicians gained more power, some politicians gained less power, and that changed the level of influence on each individual club. And you could probably it must be possible to say which clubs are associated with which politicians, and so therefore maybe see more the change of political influence in a more detailed sense. Does that make sense, or is that?
Yeah, I get your point. I think it makes sense. I would say it makes sense on the changes of the number of clubs from which background that are making it in the Premier League and who can't do it anymore because of the political situation affects the financial situation. But there is not really a real change in terms of the ownership of the clubs, because both of them related to a fixed like MB club وده إنتاج الحربي club, the one for like petroleum company, public petroleum company, or ministry of military or something. These are clubs, their budget is like different than anything like separate, and they have more stability. And you don't have voting there for who's the owner or not. So no one was interfered before or after to know what things was going on there. But like when you think about it, what's your opinion? Like what shall I do in terms like have a dummy variable for before or after the revolution, or?
No, what I was thinking was something more detailed, where you could talk to some sort of political historian about saying, well, which particular politicians associated with which political clubs, which ones became less powerful as a result of the revolution, and which ones became more powerful, and to see whether that then spread into the influence of the club. So, for example, if I'm associated with Al Ali, for example, and I'm a junior minister, before the revolution, but then maybe I become a cabinet minister or become a sort of senior figure afterwards. So I'm just making this up, but you can see that that change in political status would also might feed through to the political influence of al-Ali. So we always think of this when we think about Spain and in the 30s and Franco and the revolution there, and think about how that affected the status of the clubs. And I'm just wondering if there isn't some kind of political change in Egypt that might be interesting. It's also sort of, you might talk to a political scientist about this, about how you measure these changes, these political changes, and then think about whether they do or they do not feed through to the football clubs.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you very much. I actually, in terms of ownership, it was that was my way of making sure about the data and the definition. And I contacted my professor at Cairo, political scientist professor, and I try to make sure about the correct definition, because all the data I have to do a lot of work on it. It's not available to have it, if we look for the official documents in Egypt, like we have CAPMAS, a Center for Statistics and Data, they actually published the ownerships of the clubs differently based on how much you pay or you don't pay, like as a membership type. And I wrote to him, and we discussed that he agreed that should be more about private and institutional versus public with fan-based club. But I am planning to double check my data also with more like professor or sports experts in Egypt to make sure like the definitions are clear. And I will ask about the impact of 2011 for also. I will add this to my questions to them. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Stefan. Dennis has got his hand up.
So listening to the questions of other people, some things have come to my mind, and the most proximate one is Stefan's question. Specifically thinking about the revolution, does that change things at the institutional clubs like the ones associated with the police and the military in a way that you might be able to tease out in a very simple way with an interaction term before and after? I don't know. It's certainly not what Stefan has in mind, but it's also something that you might think about, that those institutions that are clearly associated with specific government institutions could be different. The second question relates to Thomas's discussion about the managers. And there was something that in your discussion, I did not catch when you were presenting it, which is what happens in your data if a club switches a manager not between the first half and the second half, but within the first half or within the second half. Because I think you said that there are 10 clubs that had 15 managers or something like that over your data.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, thank you for the interaction. I'm gonna consider it and see the results. Thanks a lot for this point. Yeah, for the club changes, that's why we have the spell, because the spell I consider I need to have minimum number of this manager staying with the team, and if he has an enough number in terms of the spell. But let's say he was hired by the end of the season and was fired in the middle of the first half season. I have weighted average for the number of matches to consider. So it's all my data are weighted based on how many matches he played in this half season. So the first of all, I have to make sure he stayed enough number of matches. Anyone who hired for just 1, 2, 3, 5 matches are dropped, and if he has enough number of matches but he still didn't stay the whole half season, which happened, I have weighted average for the result in this half season.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have that list of the managers by their ranking. Is that based on some minimum number of matches coached? I'm a little so I guess you drop out people who don't have enough, or they're your base category in some sense. So these coefficients would be relative to the people who didn't have enough matches to be considered I don't know. Am I making any sense? Probably not. I rarely do.
Yeah, so like this table is only for the mover manager. So actually it's any short-term manager were dropped, and also have a lot of non-mover manager. Like a manager come and he stayed for years and was very successful, but he never changes his club, a foreign manager, and he left. So this is just to compare the mover managers, these managers that were hired by more than one team.
So when you rank Patricio number one,
Yeah.
he's number one relative to the people who have coached multiple teams within the league,
Yeah.
but not necessarily number one relative to all managers.
Yes, true. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Could you produce a ranking with those other managers?
Yes, yes. I will make sure to have it. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
I'm still a little. I think I tend to agree with Thomas that you should go game match by match.
Yeah.
Because this weighted average, I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure how to interpret that now that I understand what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it will make more sense to shift to more. So usually a lot of the literature, like paper from Mulhoiser in 2018, they really have huge different, and that was their argument. You cannot just use the average number of points for the coaches. You have to consider the coefficient, and there was a huge changes in the ranking between the one with the coefficient versus the average number of points. And they were able, because they have the budget and the salaries of the coaches, to also find that a lot of coaches are underpaid. But I don't have all these data, so I think it doesn't make really sense to keep with the spell and the half season level. I agree with you. Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Dennis. Any more questions and comments? You mentioned that the National Bank has a team. Does that mean all the economists support that team?
Sorry, again?
You mentioned that the National Bank has a team. Does that mean all
Yes.
the economists in Egypt support that
No,
team?
the National Bank of Egypt. Yeah. We have two public banks.
Right.
Yeah, one of them called like Masr. Masr is Egypt in Arabic, so we have Masr Bank and we have Al Ahli Bank. Actually, National Bank of Egypt, it's in Arabic Al Ahli Bank. Al Ahli means national.
Right.
And I would say I had a lot. I tried to focus more on the data, but Al Ahli, like the Al Ahli team means national team, and this came like during the British colonization, because they organized football matches, and people this was created there, and some of the revolution by that time against the colonization, they created Al Ahli team, where they not just meet to play football and win in the football matches, but also try to cooperate, and we're motivated for having demonstrations and things. So there is a lot of history when it comes to the Egyptian football. I would say a long time ago, that even some people in the temple found like signs for balls that seems they interpret it as even in the fairs they love to play football. This is one of the interpretation. It's available officially on a government website, I would say. So, not my own personal interpretation. I love to brag about my history, but it's available online. Yeah.
It certainly sounds like there's a rich institutional history in Egypt, which probably lends itself to multiple different types of analyses, which is really interesting. Unless anyone's got any final questions and comments, pause for a moment for any hands that might appear. Given that, thank you, Galila. That was a really interesting talk, a great insight into a really interesting sports league with obviously a lot of history, a lot of rich institutional detail to be explored. So I wish you all the best as you develop your work along with your PhD. And next week we stay on football. We're going to have Battista Severgnini from Copenhagen Business School presenting $1 Million Babies, the allocation of talent among football players. So thanks once again, everyone. Great to see you. Wish you all a fantastic weekend and look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.